So let's dig in and let's start with scaffolding. So in your handouts here, I think that's probably the first one here. Page 2 would be scaffolding. Sit back and listen if you'd like. Turn to it if you want to. How many people have heard the term scaffolding? Yeah. Everybody know what kind of scaffolding is? In our context, we're going to talk a lot about it. But scaffolding is the stuff you see on the side of the building. I can paint the side of the building, no problem. I can paint up here. I can paint up there. I can't paint anymore. If something can support me, I can paint even higher. Well, that's scaffolding. The stuff on the outside of the building that you put up so I can get up there, and now I can paint no problem. And I paint it all the way to the top. Well, I'm done, and I've got a beautiful painting. Isn't that nice? That's beautiful. I spent a lot of time on that. Well, the galvanized scaffolding's in the way. I can just do it scaffolding because I don't need it anymore. The job's done. So that's where the term scaffolding comes from, to support something. And many of you probably use scaffolding quite extensively already. What we want to spend some time on this morning with scaffolding is talking about in terms of what's going on in the area of development and how it's used can really enhance learning and living. Now, scaffolding, we thought a lot came from Vygotsky, and it's the theories and ideas of Vygotsky, his colleagues, and the people who went beyond him, who helped us understand the importance of what scaffolding can do in this process of helping kids learn how to learn. But does anybody know who came up with the term scaffolding? Not Vygotsky. It was another guy named Jerome Bruner who came up with the term scaffolding. And he was talking about language. We'll talk about him in a moment as well. But I just want to throw that out there for Dr. Bruner, that it was him who coined the term scaffolding and not Vygotsky. It means a lot to me, and I want to get it on tape. So, what is scaffolding? How do we define scaffolding? And how will we define scaffolding for this morning? We're going to call scaffolding, and it's right here. You can read along with me. Supporting learning by providing the child with the right amount of guidance and or instruction and motivation so that the child is motivated and able to successfully practice. And then practice leads to mastering new skills. Everybody have that down? Supporting learning, guidance, instruction, motivation, practice, a lot of words. You know what it means? It means helping a child until he gets it and that he can do it by myself. That's what scaffolding is. It's not whether the child can or cannot do something, whether she's ready or not to do it. Rather, the scaffolding allows for a different perspective. How much support, instruction, or guidance does a child need in order to accomplish the task? The task or activity is constant. It doesn't change or made easier by the child. It's like wearing a tie. And when you're a little kid wearing a tie, you've got to take the tie and you've got to tie it around and put it in a knot. You probably learn very quickly because you can say, oh, I can tie a tie, and you tie a knot. No, that's not a tie. That's not tying a tie. So you don't say to the child, oh, you know, you can't tie the tie. Here's a clip-on. Do that. That's not scaffolding. That's compensating. That's saying the child does not have this skill, therefore I'm not going to introduce any part of the skill at all. I'm just going to give the child a clip-on. With scaffolding, we say, well, what does the child need to learn how to tie a tie properly? He's never done it before. Maybe the first bit of scaffolding we give is to show him how to tie a tie. Look at me, watch me. Let's tie. Got it? Here you go. Oh, okay. Maybe you need a little more scaffolding. Maybe I do it a few times. Or maybe I get behind you and we face a mirror. And with my hands, I say, look what my hands are doing. Your hands are going to do this. And you practice a little bit. You're showing and demonstrating for him. And then you take his hands and you say, now let me guide your hands. And you do that a few more times. And you do that every Sunday before you go out for your services, or Saturday or Friday, whatever your services are, you've got to put a tie on. Because when I was growing up, I wore a tie when I was going to a service. That was about it. So I practiced quite a bit with the tie, with my own hands now, with you guiding me, but slowly I feel your hands peeling away. And now I'm tying the tie by myself. That's scaffolding. It's not the child can or can't do it. And it's not what does the child need to do it. Because in order to have a tie, well, he just needs a tie. Well, a clip-on's a tie. No, it's what can a child use so that the child can acquire the new skill of tying a tie. What can he use? And what he can use is my guidance. Me showing him, hand over hand. That's what we're talking about with scaffolding. It's the demands or actions of the child that are made easier in the beginning by way of the support from an experienced guide or somebody there with him, until over time and with practice, the child acquires better and better abilities to do it, and eventually is able to master it, and now wants to wear a tie to school every day. True story. Another example of scaffolding, training wheels. Now, what do you got to do to ride a bike? You got to do this to ride a bike. You got to sit on your bike, you got to put your hands up here, and you've got to pedal, you got to figure out where to go. Here's the problem. I never rode a bike before, so this was easy. Okay, no, that's not it. I keep falling over, back and forth. Now, balancing. How many people think balancing is part of riding a bike? You got to balance, but the skills you need are turning, looking, pedaling, staying in your seat. Those are important. Well, how hard is that to do? Plus, you've got to balance on these two wheels. But you can be training wheels, and a big, very important part is supported, is scaffolding. Now, I can concentrate on the most important thing about riding a bike, which is keeping my hands up here, turning that front wheel, and pedaling so I can go, and braking so I can stop. It's the training wheels, that little bit of scaffolding that you can put on for a while and then take off, that will allow you to practice the very important skills of riding a bike. Another example, using your fingers or blocks to count. 1, 2, 3. Great, I got 3. I know that because I've got 3 things here. Or 1, 2, 3. That's the way scaffolding, the early acquisition of playing with the ideas of more or less. Because at the end of the day, that's what math is. I got more of something, I got less of something. And all these highfalutin formulas that they give all come down to, I got more or I got less. That's about it. So counting with your fingers, counting with your blocks, is a way to support the acquisition of that knowledge. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. Anybody heard that, opening a jar? There's some people who have said they still use that today. And since we started working on this, I found myself, under my tongue, doing a little self-talk. Oh, teaser for the beginning, for later on, about lefty loosey, righty tighty, opening and shutting things. Using language to scaffold language, saying, oh yeah, how do I get this open? That's right, lefty loosey, righty. Okay, yeah, okay, good, now I know. That's scaffolding. The scaffolding can be direct or indirect. That means the support can be offered directly by the teacher, as in breaking down a task into manageable parts, modeling behavior for the kids. Let's use our indoor voice. Not, hey everybody, let's use the indoor voice, huh? Let's use our indoor voice. Modeling behavior for them, scaffolding. Repeating directions for the kids. You tell everybody what they want to do, and you got one kid like, yeah, that's right, Bill. You put those things in there, and then you move it over there. Okay, thanks, teacher. Repeating instructions is also providing scaffolding. And direct scaffolding, or how the teacher might set up an environment. The toys are over here. Where you put your stuff when you come in is always over there. The tables here for eating are always over here. So when the child comes in, he's not like, wait a second. My cubby's there now, my chair's here, the table's there, and my drink, no. There's too much for me. I can't get a handle on the fact that I'm trying to be an independent little person now. I'm 3, 4 years old. I'm not really good yet at leaving comforts of mom and dad, my favorite chair, my TV, with my remote, with SpongeBob ready to go, to this new place where I've got to act differently and do different things. It really helps me to know that stuff's there, and every time I can expect it to come in. That's indirect scaffolding that you're supporting the child. They don't have to worry about that, so they can worry about the other things that are going to happen throughout the morning. Scaffolding isn't static, and it's not designed to remain in place forever. Again, we're not talking about compensating, where you just do it for the child. It's about enhancing the child's ability to learn. And it's got to be flexible, so the assistance can be gradually removed over time, as the responsibility for doing the task, accomplishing it, transfers from the teacher, parent, guide to the child. So training wheels is another example, or an example we can use again. Now, good training wheels are the kind of training wheels that you can put on and you can slowly raise up. And you know what happens when you raise up training wheels? Bike begins to tilt. So now I'm pretty good at pedaling, and I finally got this back thing. I tell you, it took me 3 weeks to figure out that you've got to pedal backwards in order to stop. I've got the scar here to show you, from the mailbox, that that's a very important thing to learn, and I've got that one down. And I can steer pretty good. I think I'm ready. So one day, my training wheels are raised up. Oh, okay, well, I'm not falling all the way over. Boy, okay, I just got to balance from here to here. Hey, that's pretty good. Maybe a week later, they're raised even more. And then one day, they're gone. I'll get in a truck. I can do it. I'm riding. I'm riding my bike now. The direct scaffolding that you provided, the training wheels placed on the bike, allowed me to practice, to learn the important skills I need to learn. And now they're ready to be removed. So I can ride a bike now, right? I'm 5 years old, maybe 4 years old. I can ride a bike. I'm good to go. No problem. I'm ready to go to Starbucks. I'm ready to go all the way to Barnes & Noble. I got a bike pad. No. You provide additional indirect scaffolding. Only ride on the driveway. Only ride on this sidewalk to this mailbox here. That's it. No farther. Well, that's going to give me a lot of room. And I've got a little hill that I can go up and down. The indirect scaffolding is, this is how far I can go until I become even more proficient at riding my bike. And then I go on from there. So it's never static. It's never the same. And it's never used to compensate for the child's inability to do something the way that you expect them to do it, or even the way they expect to do it. It's flexible. It's something that can be given a little bit more, given a little bit less, given a little bit more, given a little less. I ride my bike and I'm like this, and I really wipe out. I don't want it like this anymore. I want to back down again. So for a little while, we add a little more scaffolding until I'm ready to go again. So you give a little bit, you take a little bit away. Taking care of counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm using my fingers. But eventually, I don't need to do that. I just, maybe under my breath a little bit, I count. Again, teaser. Or, I did it. No, I counted to 9 this time too. And I did it in my head. So I went from counting with these and counting with these to counting in my mind. I've internalized that process. And Vygotsky, Tools of the Mind, talks a lot about internalizing these tools, internalizing the ability to learn something. So it first happens right out in front of you, in your relationship with another person, but slowly I'm beginning to get it. And I think a great example of that is in your handout here under scaffolding reading. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the overhead working, so I just ask you to follow along for a moment on scaffolding reading. All the way to the left, you're modeling reading for the child. You're doing all the reading. Once upon a time, there was a guy named Josh. And Josh went into the forest and had many great adventures. I'm reading the whole thing. But maybe slowly, over time, you do a little shared reading. Can anybody tell me what's going to happen next in this story? Maybe, would you like to read a little bit too? Hey, what's this word say here? Oh, that's right, catch. Yeah, that's an important word because Josh had to catch the ball as it came down from the tree. Then maybe you're doing a little guided reading for them. And eventually, you can see the teacher's doing nothing at all, and the child is an independent reader now. I think that's a good example of how that flow works. Sometimes scaffolding is going to take a little bit longer. And allowing for the struggle in the child trying something, practicing something, is critical to their internalizing this knowledge. Now, you could just do it yourself and get it done. And I'd ask you, how many times does that happen in the classroom? How many times do you think, you know, I see him doing it, but we got to get going. I'm just going to do it myself. Now, you need to do that sometimes. We've got to get through the day because at this hour, you know what's going to happen? Oh, I hear the cars. All the cars are lining up. They've got to go. So you have a finite amount of time. Sometimes you're going to have to just do it yourself. But when you can, allow for that struggle to occur. Allow for the kids to try and fail and try and fail. Is a key part of using this scaffolding. As they begin to see, I can do it, I just need a little more practice. I almost got it. No, okay, let me try again. I got it. Or they come in the next day, they've had a good night's sleep and a good breakfast, and they're ready to try again, and they're doing better. Allowing for that struggle, providing the right kind of scaffolding is very important. Now, scaffolding works best, of course, when a child's interested and engaged in learning. It gives him or her the right amount of help so that practice is just right. Not too easy, so they're bored, but not too hard, so like, there's no way I can do this. Absolutely no way. I'm not even going to try anymore. It's that motivation. The motivation, which is the lubricant that greases the gears of thinking and learning. And a big part of that motivation is the experienced guide, the parent, the teacher, the other children who are cheerleaders. Yes, you can do it. I know you can do it. Oh, you're almost there. You're almost there. You did it! Fantastic! Look at you! You tied a tie. Now come on, we're late. So motivation is critical. The child has to want to try to do these things because they're doing something that either they've never done before or they're not very good at it. So they're going to have to want to practice. I want to do this. Not because I'm told, because I'm invested in it. I want to master this skill. And the praise I'm getting, like always, manna from heaven. Anytime I get praise from somebody who's important in my life, I love. But when you praise the effort that they're making after providing a little scaffolding, well, you're well on your way. Scaffolding can create a great environment for, actually I just said that. Yeah, for feedback and praise. All right, I just said that. Sorry. Scaffolding where the child needs it, not necessarily where you think it should be. Scaffolding where the child needs the scaffolding is a very important piece here too. It's not, I know you're going to mess up. When we turn this over and you've got to fold this down, there's no way you're going to do it. So, turning over, okay, yeah, let me do that for you. What? Ow, no, okay, go sit over there. You're losing control. Well, guess what happened? You provided scaffolding where you thought they needed it, not where the child needed it. So here's an example of doing scaffolding where the child needs it. And this is the child thinking and or saying, I want you to sit next to me while I play this new game or I try this weaving. I don't want you to help me at all unless I ask for help. Because the scaffolding that you're going to provide me is just sitting there and waiting and letting me decide when I need help. I can't. No. And I'm well on my way. Having the child be an active participant in deciding the amount of scaffolding being used, when and how it should be added or taken away is also a key part. And in many ways, that's what fuels their motivation. I have control over learning this new skill. I can tell you, I need your help now. No, I don't need your help. No, come back here. Don't go away. Just stand there. Just sit there until I need you. Sometimes that's all we need to do to provide some scaffolding. So how do you know what type of scaffolding to use? How much do you support the child? When do you back up? When do you lift the training wheels? When do you think I've got to put the training wheels back down again to get them a little more practice? Well, maybe the 3 stitches is a good indicator. But what we're talking about here is the zone of proximal development. Big words, right? The zone of proximal development is a way of thinking about the relationships between learning and development. With the zone, we're going to go from the child can or can't do it to how much support does the child need to get it without help. Now, we had an overhead here, and there was a nice slide with a little graphic I was going to show you. But it's pretty basic. Here is our zone of proximal development. Here, I can't do it at all. Cannot tie a tie the way you want me to. I can tie a tie because I can tie something, but I can't tie a tie. Up here, I can tie a tie. Give me a tie, I'll tie it. What do you want, a Windsor? No problem. I can tie a tie. Can't do it here, I can do it up here. The zone is here. You showing me how to tie a tie. You're showing me again how to tie a tie. We spend a month on me showing you how to tie a tie. I get behind you and show you how to tie a tie. Right? We do that a little bit more. I take your hands, and now your hands are tying the tie with my hands. And I slowly take my hands away as you do it again and again, week after week, and now you can do it by yourself. That's the zone. Somewhere in here is between they can't do it at all and they've mastered it. That's where you put the scaffolding in. And that's where you decide how much scaffolding you need to put in there. Now, an example of that might be getting juice and pouring it. So I go and I want some juice, and I go to the refrigerator. I say, Mom, I want some juice. I go to the refrigerator, I open it up, I take the apple juice out, I put it on the table, I go and get my glass, I take that, I put it on the table, oh yeah, lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, I open it up, oh no, he's gonna yell, I pour it all over the place. Well, I got a little bit of juice in there, so I drink that and I go. So I'm done, all I wanted was juice. Cleaning a mess, forget it. So where's the scaffolding? Where's the scaffolding needed within that zone of proximal development? Pouring. That's where they need it. You let the child is motivated, they're capable to get the juice, get the glass, open it up. They still need more practice on pouring it. So maybe you put your hands at the bottom of it, and they're guiding it. No, stop. Look, my hands are just here just in case. Look, feel it, you're pouring it. I'm just here just in case, and we do it successfully. And the child really, I want to do it by myself, I want to do it by myself. You want to do it by yourself? Okay, come here. Here's a jug of water. Here's a cup. Here's a line on the cup. Go to the sink. I want you to practice pouring this great big jug of water into that cup, right up to the line. If it spills over, big deal, it's water, you're in the sink. Why don't you practice that skill for a little while? And then maybe next time you want juice, we'll try it again. So you found within the zone, they're pretty high up there, right? They're pretty high up in the zone. They can get the juice, they can get the cup, they can open it up, they're still not pouring it, so they're not there yet. So that's where you provide the hand-over-hand support, and then you provide a little targeted practice because they're motivated to do it all by themselves. And you want to honor that and encourage that. You're such a big kid, I know you can do it. I know you can do it. Looks like you're having a little trouble here. Let's give you a little more practice there. So the idea is to provide some scaffolding within that zone to facilitate the learning of the child, the learning that the child needs. Let's go back to here. So within the zone, you're doing everything. This is the bottom. And then slowly, as the child learns more about reading and can do it independently, you're doing less. And all of a sudden, they're at the top. Now, the zone of proximal development is going to be different for different kids, and even kids the same age. Sally and Johnny were born on April 14th. Same age. In fact, within the same hour they were born. Two separate hospitals halfway around the world. They're kindred spirits, and they found themselves at Dandelion Pride Preschool. There they are. Well, Sally, she's ready to start practicing writing letters all by herself. But Johnny, he still needs his alphabet buddy to do it with, and he still needs those worksheets that the teacher found so effective. So, same age, minutes apart. Sally, she's ready to do it on her own. Johnny, he still needs a little more of the scaffolding that's provided before we peel all that away, and he's independent of Sally. So it's different for kids, even the same age. The zone of proximal development can even be different for the same child, depending on what the activity is. Now, Marilyn needs no scaffolding to sit quietly and listen to the teachers during her circle time. She is a model student. Marilyn's teacher always says, I wish I had a classroom full of Marilyns. But when it comes time to come in, get her backpack out, hung up, and go to center before, guess who needs a lot of reminders? Marilyn. Marilyn needs a lot of help because she comes in, she's ready to go. Come on, let's go. I want to do this, I want to do that. Backpack's on the floor, Jack's over there. Her sandal is over there because she came in like this. I'm ready to go, and it went flinging. So Marilyn's a wonderful circle time participant. She still needs some help within the zone of proximal development to scaffold how to come into the classroom effectively, quietly, with two shoes on. Now, it's important to remember that this practice is like a circle. I start here, and I can't do anything. I'm getting better, 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 and I can do it again. Well, now I go on to the next skill. And guess what? I start at the bottom again. So I start here, and I'm learning, I mastered it, and then, oh, there's a new one, and I got to do it all over again. Oh, there's a new one, and I got to do it all over again. So it keeps going like a circle. It's not linear. I've acquired scaffolding to know how to do things. Now I can do anything. The very next task I could find is going to be difficult for me to do without some sort of support. Now, the zone of proximal development, where are they? What can they use in order to acquire this skill is what we're talking about. That can be a very important way of thinking about children when you're just trying to take a look at where they are. When you're assessing a little bit about what they're capable of doing, not capable of doing. Where are they in a year? Are they ready to graduate into the next year, or the next task, or the next area of learning? When and how are you going to know that? Well, thinking about scaffolding and scaffolding within the zone of proximal development, taking away from they can or can't do it to what can they use to be successful in this task is a great way to look at children and begin to measure where are they within your classroom. And we'll talk a little bit more about that when we talk about using the toolkit. So I want to give and talk a little bit about some more examples about scaffolding and the zone of proximal development. After I have a little drink. So potty training. Potty training at 3. You know, we got a 3-year-old class. We would love to have Ali in our class. But Ali's got to be potty trained by 3. Oh no, it's July 4th. We say, honey, we got to potty train Ali because he's starting preschool, so take the diapers away. Good luck. I got to go on a business trip. A lot of worry, a lot of concern, a lot of, well, I'll just say it, a lot of professional mental health hours are spent understanding I got to be potty trained at 3. But what does that mean? What does potty trained at 3 mean? Potty training for this particular class mean? Does it mean that I'm done? I'm ready to go? Because that's a tall order. I'm 3 years old, and I'm only very recently leaving the comfort, the security, and ease of diapers. I mean, think about it. I'm wearing diapers. I don't have to stop doing anything. I'm bagging my box together. Oh, who cares? I'm bagging my box together. Oh, the show's up. Oh no, I'm not going to miss nothing. All right, we're good to go. These are wonderful things. But unfortunately, whoever decided we can't use them anymore. So I just recently left. Not me personally, but I recently left the security diapers for big boy pants, big girl pants, and the control that's needed. Now I can exercise that control. I know when I need to go, and I know it's not good to mess with the pants. And my mom was great because she never yelled at me. She said, oh, you made a mistake. Well, let's get you cleaned up. I'll bet you're going to do it even better this afternoon. Now, come on, we got to go clean this up. Oh my God, you made a mess. Come on. So I'm getting better at it, but what I'm not really good at is knowing exactly when I need to go. Exactly when I need to go. And more importantly, what do I do when I have to go? That's the scaffolding you're providing. Helping them understand when they need to go and what that feels like throughout a 3, maybe sometimes 4-hour period. And more importantly, when I have that feeling, what do? I know what to do when I'm home because the potty trainer's right there. And in fact, this miraculous thing happens. The potty fairy always seems to put my portable car's potty chair wherever I am. So I never need to think, oh, I gotta go. Well, it's right there. Look at that. Well, I'm upstairs. Oh, I gotta go. Look, it's right there. Or I'm brought to the bathroom when I need to go. The scaffolding that you're providing these kids isn't, you better be potty trained and have total control. What you're asking them is, we would like you to arrive without diapers, without pull-ups, in big boy and big girl pants, and we would like you to know enough to know that when you have to go, you should do something about it. That's potty training at 3. The scaffolding you're providing these 3-year-olds is, and I talked to Pat about this, and this is an example of the wonderful feedback we got from Pat. So Pat, what I'm about to say is, thank you so much. It's giving the regular opportunities to use the potty Giving the children the opportunity to practice checking. So how many of you have a potty break built in for this class? And maybe in the next year after that. Okay, everybody, it's time to use the bathroom. So at least once throughout the day, you're giving them the opportunity to use the bathroom, if you two are not, to practice those important skills in a brand new environment of going in there by themselves or with somebody who's quiet enough, so it's kind of like by myself, pulling my pants down, doing my business, pulling my pants up, and washing my hands. I'm getting great practice doing that. You're providing that. How many people have, for that class, a bathroom in the classroom? Or right off the classroom? Yep, see some hands there. It's certainly not very far away. It's not downstairs or down the hall past the sanctuary. It's right there and available to them. And do the kids know where the bathroom is? You're darn right because you tell them. You provide direct scaffolding. There is the bathroom. If you need to go to the bathroom, there it is. What do you do when you have to go to the bathroom? That's right, you go in there. That's where the bathroom is. So you're providing that to the child with scaffolding of a regular time to go, a place to go, and then maybe reminders. Maybe you see one little guy's had a little trouble, and he made a mistake here and there, kind of frequently. So remind us, hey Josh, do you need to go to the bathroom? Oh, okay, remember, it's right there. Hey Josh, you need to go to the bathroom? Oh, and he's already up and running. So regular reminders here and there for one child or a group of children is the kind of scaffolding you provide. So as you look at it through this lens of proximal development, we understand that the rule is more of a request. The rule of potty trained by 3 is a request, have enough control so that you can be successful using the direct and indirect scaffolding of regular potty break, a bathroom close by, and a loving, supportive teacher who will remind you that we can use for everybody. We can't have some diapers, some pull-ups, and some kids. We want everybody at least to have enough control so that they can benefit from the scaffolding we'll provide. That's how it can work. Now, the child that fidgets and gets up and is disruptive during circle time. I love circle time. We sing songs, we read stories, we get to look out the window. It's wonderful. But I'm Fred, and I got a nickname. I'm Fidgety Fred. Fidgety Fred can't sit still. Fidgety Fred is always looking at his legs, and God forbid, I have to stop wearing shorts and go to pants. Now it's October. It's 30 degrees outside. I guess I gotta wear pants, but I'm always doing this with my pants down, and also I'm fidgeting all around. There's a fishbowl. I love the fishbowl. So I'm spending more time at the fishbowl than I am attending to the teacher. I can't stop. So we provide Fidgety Fred with a little bit of scaffolding. Maybe there's a special circular cushion that Fred uses to let him know, Fred, that's your seat. No, 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 no. That's your seat. See, the little circle? That's what you can use. That's how you can know. And maybe at first, I'll put the circle out for you. But then I'll say, one day I'll forget, I'll say, hey, Fred, get your circle. And then after a while, Fred, you're getting your circle and putting it down where you need it. Guess where you're putting Fred? Best seat in the house. Right in front of the teacher. There you go, Fred. You're not by the fishbowl, you're not here or there, you're right in front of the teacher. Maybe you take a couple of kids who are higher up in the zone of proximal development for circle time, we'll call them circle champs, who can sit on either side of Fred and provide him with a good model on how to act. Not fidgeting, looking up at the teacher, participating. So he's boxed in, he's bookended with some good peer models. And over time, you can see the scaffolding of the circle, the scaffolding of where to sit, and the scaffolding of the circle champs on either side of them can be removed, changed, or modified, depending on how well Fred is doing in not fidgeting and attending. Because what we want Fred to do is not fidget and attend, because circle time is awesome. And Fred agrees, he loves circle time. So in a way, in a roundabout way, he's kind of asking you, please scaffold my attendance at circle time, because I really like it. I can't do it without you. So, scaffolding, reading comprehension. This will be the third example, I think, during story time. So what is it that you want the children to learn in story time? Why are they listening to you reading the book? Well, you've got lovely voices, I'm sure, and you're nice, pleasant people, and it's a good and interesting story. I mean, Stanley was a kid, and then he became flat. Flat, I mean like flat. I gotta know, how did that happen? And Fred gets in the car? That's what I really want to know. So what does that mean? You want kids to be able to attend to what's important in the story. You want them to learn about the experience, the structure of the story, that there's a beginning to every story, and there's a middle to every story, and there's an ending to every story. You want them to understand that in many stories, things happen, and then things are resolved. So that's what you want kids to learn in story time, yeah? That's comprehension. That's reading a story, learning a story. So how can scaffolding help you? Well, there's a great article. It was actually, again, Pat, thank you very much, who brought this article to me. She was so excited. She called me on the phone, sent me an email, and then drove over with a copy. We weren't even meeting that day. She thought, Josh, you got to see this. This is talking about everything we're talking about. And there's a copy of that article on the back table next to the books, from the dimensions of early childhood. And it's a great overview of how you can use these principles of the gods, being tools of the mind, to do just that, to help the kids understand what it is they need to pay attention to and attend to as they're learning how to comprehend stories. And maybe one thing we need to talk about is there's new words in the story. And you need to learn what those words are. Maybe there's a word like plane, because Flat Stanley is, he's flat as a plane. I don't know, plane, say. And you ask kids, what does that word mean? Does anybody know a plane? What if that thing's really flat? What's it on? And they throw out different words. And you say, yeah, they're like that too. But also, that's what the word plane means. And guess what happens when you start reading them a story? They come across the word plane and they say, oh yeah, not airplane, plane like a flat surface. Because we just talked about that. Now I understand the word in context in the story. Just taking out some of those big words, those new words, talking about them before the story, and then having the child experience them in the story is wonderful scaffolding. You can make predictions. So, Flat Stanley finally decided to go with his family to the fair. Flat Stanley's going to the fair. You know where he's going to go? You know how he's going to get to the fair? He's going to go in a car. I hope it's a car. I don't know yet, but my teacher stopped and said, what do you think is going to happen? Oh, I think he's going to go there. I think he's going to do that. I think he's going to. I know, it's so exciting. What great ideas. Some of you might be right. Let's see what happens. And you turn the page, and you tell them the rest of the story. Stopping, allowing for those cliffhangers, keeps the children engaged, understands that there are parts in every story that have suspense. Spend a little time in that suspense instead of just reading through from beginning to end. You might ask open-ended questions. You might say, well, how flat was Flat Stanley? He was pretty flat. But I wonder what it would be like to be flat. Now, Flat Stanley got in the car, and Josh, you finally heard about Flat Stanley in the car and his seatbelt. Well, what it would be like if Flat Stanley went to the pole? Now, that's not the story. But you're wondering about Flat Stanley and the flattiness of Flat Stanley. How can the kids take maybe a different perspective? Really think about being flat. Because that's the idea of the story. Stanley was a kid, and then he became flat. I mean, I think he kind of liked it by the end of the story. But ask those open-ended questions. Maybe you bridge ideas from the story into their play, into their pretend play. Maybe you can create your own book, kind of like Flat Stanley, but you call it Joe Square. Joe's boy, he wasn't square, like here, square. He was square, I mean, he was literally square. Or Trinket Triangle. And Trinket woke up one day and she was a triangle. Yeah, so have them write a story about that. Or maybe you create a story for a pretend play. Let's pretend that we're all flat, like Flat Stanley. And you do that during your pretend playtime, which you all have, right? Lots of pretend playtime in school? Good, we'll get to that in a minute too. So I'd like to take a moment now to just ask you about lining up, something you all do a lot of when you line up. Now, you can just call out ideas. What kind of scaffolding do you use to support the acquisition of the very, very important skill necessary in our culture and our society of the United States of America, which is to line up in a straight line? How do you know how to do that? Because all this stuff, well, I want it, no, I want it. This ain't England. Line up. So how do you do it? How do you get the kids to learn how to line up? A line leader. Somebody's in charge. Somebody has to be first, right? It's everybody line up. Okay, I'm first. No. Mary is the line leader. Everybody line up behind Mary. Anything else? Who's ahead of you and who's behind you? Yeah. So it's the same line, it's the same group every day, it's the same lineup every day. And then you know, I'm in front of Billy, Doug's behind me. So I know, if Doug's not behind me, I'm not in the right place. So I need to find Doug and get in front of him. Yep. Anything else?
Line to line up on, whether it's chalk or tape.
Line up on a line, line up on chalk. Yep. Little feet in there. When you're really little, a great example is the line. Literally a line of rope with little circles on it. So all I need to do, I'm 2 years old, I'm 2.5 years old. I'm smart, so I'm in the 3-year-old class, but I'm only 2 now. Because I got potty trained, because Dad didn't go on that business trip. All I need to know is I need to hang on to this. I don't care where I go, because pretty much what I found is wherever I go in this building is awesome, so who cares? Just take me wherever you go. And over time, I begin to realize, you know, this thing is taking me places. I'm going to start paying attention to where I'm going. The best example I've ever seen of scaffolding lining up was the teacher said, okay, everybody, we need to line up. Now, what are you going to be to go to line up? I'm going to be a bird. She flew up there. What are you going to be to line up? I'm going to be an elephant. Boom, boom, boom. The kids knew where to line up, but they needed motivation to line up. So the teacher said, well, be something while you're in the process of going to line up. And you know who's really motivated to line up every time it was time to line up? Every one of those kids. Because it was a great opportunity for them to do something fun and do something silly. So great examples of lining up. A line leader, where you are in position in your line, a space that you can use, the line, or even doing something funny, changing up how you're going to line up are great examples.